right, now on Sunday, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Gregory Peter Obi, visited Nobel Laureate Professor Wole Soyinka in his Abeokuta home, where they exchanged ideas about the future of Nigeria. Now, the move is seen as a deliberate effort to de-escalate political tension as the Labour Party candidate continues with his legal action against the election results declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, Soyinka had shortly after the controversial declaration of the election results by INEC described Obedience, a group of Labour Party supporters with large national and international following, as fascists, an appellation that put him on fire in the line of fire for weeks. Now, many Nigerian youth accuse the Nobel laureate of unjustifiably supporting his own kinsman and the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was declared winner by the Mahmoud Yakubu-led INEC, in controversial circumstances. Now, do you think this visit is anyway a reconciliation? That's a question. Soyinka regarded the Obedience as fascist. Do you think Obi now has Soyinka's support? That's another question. Now, the visit is seen as a deliberate effort to de-escalate political tension as the Labour Party candidate continues with his legal action against the election results. Now, do you agree with this? These are the questions we're putting out to you. Wole Soyinka said, thus, albeit in a different vein, any notion of reconciliation or even relations, positive, negative, or indifferent, with such a spectral emanation is simply grasping at empty air. So, as he said, during that meeting, which was attended by two individuals only, during that meeting attended by two other individuals only, the word reconciliation was never breathed. Now, he's grammatical. Neither in itself nor in any other form. It simply did not arise. By contrast, there were expressions of burden of leadership, responsibility, apology, pleading, formal dissociation from the untenable, all the way to the tragic ascendancy of ethnic cleavage. Okay? And then he literally said, especially under such ironic, untenable circumstances. So according to Wole Soyinka, these were his phrases, these are his words, discussions were frank and creative. The notion of reconciliation was clearly NA, that is non-applicable. It was never raised. So with what the presidential candidate of the Labour Party said, and with the expressions of our Nobel laureate, erudite Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, have you heard the contrast in their responses? Did you now understand what I'm trying to say? That
I don't see a contrast.
You don't see a contrast?
No,
okay, Peter. Okay. All right.
Personally, I don't see a contrast. Peter will be saying, okay, I went to see him. I respect him. So I went to see him. And I went to remind him of the role he played, before the Civil War for the Igbos, the role he played for the Igbos. And, and then he's saying he came to apologize for the
behavior of the Obedience. That's what Peter will be saying.
That's what Wole Soyinka was saying in his own
No,
Twitter.
He's saying that there was no reconciliation and apology. With all I've said, he said none of those words were there. It was literally, he said that...
But I thought you did say at the beginning that he apologized for the attitude of Obedience.
Of the supporters, not in terms of reconciliation. As a lot of persons are now putting it to be like, Peter Obi came to reconcile or something else. Peter Obi came to make it seem like, I came to meet a friend, a brother whom I revere. But then, would you think that Wole Soyinka's response was excessive?
No. He's verbose. So it's normal to see him express himself in that many words. Yeah, but I think he was just trying to make it clear. I would not want to toe the line of some people, because there's a thought going on, like he's not trying to make it seem as if he's not backing his kinsman. There's that thought going out. But I would not want to see it that way.
In fact, Wole Soyinka mentioned it here. He said, this is something, he said that particular scenario, he said the following should be understood but never underestimated. What remains ineradicable from that weekend of orgiastic rave in the social media was the opening up of the dark portrait recesses in the national psyche that we like to pretend does not exist. He said it invited into mind, seeking a grasp on reality, gruesome variations on images from Dante's Purgatorio. A fathomless pit was exposed, at the bottom of which one glimpsed a throng of the damned writhing in competitive lust for the largest of the gangrenous ladders in a diabolical broth. What he literally said, there were a lot of, but what he literally was trying to say was that the ethnic tone from what made him respond the way he responded to the obedient supporters, that a lot of people do not want to talk about it. That particular scenario was able to unveil, that dark pit that we do not want to shed light into, and which was basically which was the depth of the conversation that they had, which they had to look into. It's a good thing that Peter Obi went to meet him. Again, one will assert Peter Obi to be a man of humility. I think that's a very humble effort on his part to show that there was really nothing wrong, right? Or there is no bad blood between the both of them.
All right. We do have the chief spokesman for Obi Dati campaign, Dr. Yunusa Tanko from the Labour Party. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Okay, good morning to you. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very, very well, thank you. Well, I've been made to understand that you're behind the wheels and you had to pull over to have this conversation with us. We totally appreciate. We totally appreciate that. Now let's look at. We'll just take this very, very quickly because time is of the essence now. The visit from your presidential candidate Peter Obi to the Nobel Laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. What do you make of that visit? I mean, we've seen the tweets from Peter Obi explaining that, Wole Soyinka is somebody he respects so much. And then he made that visit and also reminded him of his contributions towards voicing out for the Igbos. Now, but we've also seen the response of Professor Wole Soyinka. But what do you make of that visit?
Well, first of all, I want to say to Peter Obi directly through popular media that he has exemplified and epitomized what democracy represents. Democracy is a representative of accepting and tolerating different views. Irrespective of whoever make any particular statement, you just value that particular statement and take it in a big stride and then take it as part of a corrective message in case if you feel maybe disassociated or disaffected with that particular statement. And so therefore, the visit to me shows how Peter Obi can be. Even though some kind of a statement coming from the Nobel Laureate would not be as some other persons. But as far as a Democrat, you should be able to take all of what Peter Obi did. By visiting the Nobel Laureate, it shows that it's any kind of criticism. And lack of respect also to the Nobel Laureate, because we as Democrats supposed to respect our elders and leaders, even if they may have said something that maybe we assume to be wrong to some other person. So it was a good development. Remember, Peter Obi did similar visit to Femi Kuti, and he did similar visits to other individuals. In fact, in Bayelsa, could remember he went into his former principal, Atiku Abubakar. He did the same thing too when he was at the Nigerian Bar Association program in Lagos. So that is to tell you the accommodative tendency that Peter Obi has. So I would say, even though I'm representing him, but I would say kudos to him. He has shown us as a leader how to respect leaders and respect our elders. Well done, sir.
All right, but obedience, which is the movement garnered to the elections, might feel like, oh, we stood for you, we defended you when other people, especially the Nobel laureate now in question, said things against you. Are you now saying that we don't know what we're doing, standing for you? Is this him going behind the obedience movement now?
Oh, no. You see, let me explain certain things about the obedience movement. The obedience represents a new horizon in our political lives. Look, every Nigerian, especially the Nigerian youth, are hurting, they are angry, they are disappointed. In fact, to himself, he said it, even if he's in the line, the obedient are ready to whip him onto line. That is how it is. Look, we are talking about Nigerian youth who cannot feed themselves. We can talking about Nigerian youth who cannot be sure of what they can do the next day. They cannot even decide whether they can be working or they can get or not. We're talking about Nigerians who are not secured. We're talking about Nigerians who have billions and trillions of naira being carted away by few individuals. So all of us are being put to trial, including Peter Obi himself. All of us. The Nigerians are not happy with us at all. If you think they are, go and take a look at the mirror. They are not. And so therefore, any statement, any kind of statement, this action that is being taken, and they see that that particular person or individual is not in them with their yearning and aspiration, they are willing to challenge that particular person. So, but Peter Obi must be able to look beyond the scope of the obedient individuals. He should be able to tell them and correct them if they are making mistakes. He should be able to show them the light if there's no light at the end of the tunnel. What he simply did was to tell them that, look, yes, you have the right to defend me. Yes, you have the right to protect your own interests. Yes, you have the right to ensure that Nigeria is in the right pedestal. But also, there are decorums and there are ways in which we can do this thing and achieve the same aim. That is exactly what he did.
All right, sir.
He has not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in response to Peter Obi's visit to his home, the Nobel laureate actually said that it was important for him to clarify some things before, the media takes it and, makes it out of context. He said that there are no issues to reconcile between two entities and himself. And he said something that any notion he's not able to relate to something known as the obedient or obedient family, that he refused to understand the obedient or the obedient family. He has nothing to do with that, and he will not try to understand what that context means. What would you say to, the Nobel laureate's response to Peter Obi's visit to his home?
You see, that if Peter Obi had not visited him, would he have had the opportunity of making those statements? No, he would have just made it individually. But here he is that he understands there's a new horizon and there's a new dimension to our political life. And people understand that. Come out of total of the system. Professor Wole Soyinka had been one of our revered leaders. Remember, when we were part of the Save Nigeria group, he also came in us. We have been working on a new Nigeria for over 30 years, and he has always also been part of it. He has always stood on the part of the Nigerian people. So any one of us that be seen to be deviating from that particular consistency will also have a questionable interest in Nigerian youth. They have belief in some of us. They trust us. They believe that we can get them out of the wood. And so they want to see us being consistent. So it's an opportunity for our revered professor to clear the air and make them understand that he too feel the pain and feel the pang of the Nigerian people. So as far as we are concerned, it is a good statement that at least he's trying to clear the air so that it cannot be misunderstood.
Okay. But he also made a statement. He said that in the conversation that they had, the word reconciliation never came up at all. In as much as he also tried to say he would never understand the concept of the obedient movement or the obedient family. He said the word reconciliation never came up. But however, one thing he mentioned was the burden of leadership, the burden of responsibility, and a formal dissociation from the untenable. When he made that statement, it clarifies that, you know, Peter Obi went to talk about the importance of proper leadership and the burden that it takes to lead right and lead well. What's your take on that response as well?
For a very long time, leadership issue have bedeviled Nigerian states. We have a country as enormous opportunity to be great. We have a country that have intelligent people with lands that is so fertile. We have an international representation that is almost second to none. But leadership has been our main problem. So Peter Obi is only exemplifying and saying that we've already identified the problem. Why don't you make leadership? And I want to say also to my Nobel Laureate leader that understanding the concept of the obedient movement is purely simple. As a reverse scholar, you must be able to take a look at the paradigm. And in looking at the paradigm, you must be able to assess and do a research.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hello? Or I think we're having a...
we seem to be having a problem with
the network. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
we can hear you now.
Please
can you hear me?
Your thoughts.
All right.
Yes.
So you must be able to identify, to know a problem statement. Identifying that problem statement, you develop a hypothesis and the aim and the projection of what you intend to do. So as a researcher, look, the issue of the obedient movement is a simple case in study. It's just a problem of leadership this particular country. That is the problem statement.
All right.
And once that is established, I'm sure our Laureate Nobel understand that this has been run aground and almost in a decay situation. And he himself wouldn't be happy with that.
All right, Dr. Yunusa, if you see the response, or rather read the response of Wole Soyinka, I think you understand the reason why I'm asking these questions, because a couple of critics who have read his response have actually, deduced from his response to seem like, okay, maybe there's a personal discontent he has, or a sense of bias or ethnic, tone towards his response to Peter Obi and the obedience. Now, some of the obedient supporters have actually responded to Wole Soyinka's response to that meeting, and they've said that no matter how Peter Obi has tried to bridge that gap, to create a perception that there is actually no bad blood, it seems Wole Soyinka wants to retain that bad blood and that indifference, that ethnic difference. Would you say that that is the status quo? Because if you read his response, while he tried to dissociate himself from a couple of things that took place and the concept of the obedient movement and the family, it almost feels like the supporters of the obedience are saying is, I'm extending a long hand to you, but you seem not to want to grasp it. You want to remain in whatever stoic perception you have about us. What's your take on that, as briefly as possible?
Our intention, or our principal intention, was very, very noble and very clear. Issue of reconciliation, I agree, because what we stand for, we are demanding a prosperous and credible, free, equitable society, which I believe that Professor Wole Soyinka stood for at the time. And this particular point, our principal has visited him, showing him the nobleness in him as a Democrat and as a respected citizen, which suffice for us. That is enough. So it is now left for our prof to maintain his position and argue with us, or to say, no, I may not associate myself with you people because of social reasons. That is understandable. It is okay. But as far as we are concerned, and as far as the world is concerned, we have shown magnanimity, and we have shown democratic tendency, and that is okay. And so our response, or the response of all other persons to his position may not matter anymore. But we've already done what is expected of us to do as Democrats, and that clears the matter. So, and I know in the long run, Prof will understand what the obedience movement stands for and what we intend to achieve. It's a collective interest.
All right.
I'll give you a simple example of something that, please, can you just listen to me?
Yes.
I was listening to a clergy. He said he was trying to differentiate between two thieves, the real thief and a political thief. A real thief is the one who comes to your house, steal your belongings, steal a television, steal your phone, steal everything. The political thief will steal your health, will steal your security, will steal your education, will steal your economy, will steal everything that is fundamentally wrong that is contained in the Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the irony here is that the real thief, you will fight tooth and nail to ensure that you chase that particular person. But in the political thief, you will collaborate and vote for him and put him in the office by your own. And finally, while you try everything you can to ensure that arrest and jail the real thief, you will end up fighting yourself and protecting the political thief at your own expense, with your own hands, with your own money. And then you will sit down in your cocoon complaining that there's no light, there's no security, there's no economy. Your children are at home in school, they are not going to school. So who do you blame? So if all of our intellectuals, our security personnel, our intellect and our students, everybody decide to vote for a political chief, who do you blame? All we are saying is that we need to fight collectively.
All right.
In interest of Nigeria.
All right.
To do.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate Dr. Yunusa Tanko. And yes, we will fight. Nigerians are clamoring for good leadership. And but before I let you go, one more question, please. Now, in as much as Nigerians some Nigerians have joined your party to try and fight the political thief, but we saw a case where within your party, some people tended to also support some political thief fighting against the party. Now, do you think, or how do you think the internal wrangling that went on just before the commencement of the election petitions tribunal in your party will affect the your party's case at the tribunal? Do you think? What do you make of that? Of those? Go ahead.
Now, as a Democrat and party, as a disciplined political party, we have internal mechanism. We have the court to deal with matters. The internal matters that were being raised by those who are trying to fight the political within our party have made it very, very clear, and they've gone to court. We are asking that in the court on the 12th of this May, that particular issue will be dealt with accordingly, and that is exactly what we are doing by going to court to fight for the adjudication of the election of the 25th. So we are respecters of the law, and we are respecters of the process. So even if you accuse anybody, that particular person has to prove his own case beyond reasonable doubt. I'll give you a case in scenario. They said that probably the chairman was accused of forgery. The chairman, many people have not listened to him. We have heard him. I have a document that clearly shows that there's no forgery, and that particular document will be tendered to the court. So the chairman is going to clear himself, and if the court found him alternatively in that particular position, we will take the decision that is supposed to be taken. That is how the law is. And that is what democracy represents. Democracy is about rule of law and order. Nothing more, nothing less. And you must follow the process. That is exactly what we are doing. So, coming to the issue of our case, it is very, very clear. There are two plaintiffs on the case, Peter Obi and Labour Party. At this point in time, both are 100% represented in court as of yesterday. Peter Obi was there, and the Labour Party chairman and representative were also there. But in order not to run foul of the law, the chairman did not even make the position because he's waiting for the process to be completed in the court. He was a member of the party who was nominated and acceptable by the leadership of the party that presented himself as representing the party. So therefore, there is no ambiguity in the process. These other factions, or let me not call them factions, paid agents who are trying to cause disharmony within the party, sponsored by APC, which I have made position long before now. In fact, it may amaze you to know one of the sons who is representing the APC in that particular tribunal, in that particular issue, who was representing this group, came to the court representing APC. That is going to tell you that it is the APC who is sponsoring them against the Labour Party. But it will not work. It will not work. We have two plaintiffs who are independent. So even if at the moment now they cause disharmony within the party, Peter Obi will go headlong with his case and suffice. So no shaking.
All right, no shaking. All right then. Thank you very much, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, spokesperson Obi Dati campaign. Thank you very much for being on the program today.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless Nigeria too.
God bless Nigeria, and thank you very much for pulling over to have this conversation with us. All right, so well, that's the show for today. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to delve into sports, business, and entertainment because this conversation has eaten up the time for the show. Well, my name is Moses Humphrey, and she is Esther Onwachuku. I must say a very big thank you. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and put on your notification, like and comment on everything that we do here. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.